Imagine an empire so vast it stretched across 3 continents, an empire with a seemingly endless supply of soldiers, wealth, and power. This was the Achaemenid Persian Empire in 490 BCE, the undisputed superpower of the ancient world. And standing in its path, a scattering of small, quarrelsome city-states on a rocky peninsula called Greece. One of these, Athens, had dared to defy the might of Persia's kind of kings, Darius the Great. In response, Darius sent a punitive force across the Aegean Sea. Its mission? To burn Athens to the ground and enslave its people. On a crescent-shaped beach called Marathon, the fate of Western civilization would be decided. This is the story of how a tiny army of citizen soldiers, against all odds, saved the future. So why was Persia so angry with Athens? The story begins a few years earlier with something called the Ionian Revolt. Greek cities in Ionia, on the coast of modern-day Turkey, were subjects of the Persian Empire. Unhappy with Persian rule, they rebelled. Athens, a fellow Greek city and a burgeoning democracy, sent a small fleet of 20 ships to aid them. For the Athenians, it was an act of solidarity. For King Darius, it was an unforgivable insult. After crushing the revolt, Darius's gaze turned to Athens. He sent heralds to all the Greek city-states with a simple, chilling demand: a gift of earth and water. This was no mere gift. It was a symbol of total submission to Persian rule. Many cities, terrified, complied. But not Athens. Legend says the Athenians threw the Persian heralds into a pit, telling them to find their own earth. The nearby city of Sparta, a militaristic rival of Athens, reportedly threw theirs down a well, telling them to find their own water. The line had been drawn. In 490 BCE, Darius's fleet carrying an estimated 25,000 infantry and cavalry sailed across the Aegean Sea. They didn't sail directly for Athens. Instead, they landed 26 miles to the northeast at the Bay of Marathon. The location was chosen carefully. The flat plain was perfect for the Persians' greatest weapon, their cavalry. The Athenians were in a state of panic. They could muster only about 10,000 soldiers, or hoplites. They were outnumbered more than 2-to-1, with no cavalry and very few archers. Desperate, they sent their fastest runner, a man named Phidippides, on a legendary journey. His mission wasn't to Athens, but to Sparta, 140 miles away, to beg for help. Phidippides made the incredible run in just 2 days. But the Spartans, while agreeing to help, delivered a devastating blow. They were in the middle of a sacred religious festival, the Carneia, and their laws forbade them from marching to war until the next full moon. They would be too late. The Athenians were on their own. For 5 days, the two armies faced each other across the plain of Marathon, a tense, silent standoff. The Athenians, led by a council of 10 generals, were deadlocked. To attack was suicide. To wait meant the Persians could sail around them and attack the undefended city of Athens. But one of the Athenian generals, Miltiades, had a plan. He had served with the Persians before. He knew their tactics. He knew their strength was their powerful center, and their weakness was their lightly armored flanks. And he knew he had to wait for the perfect moment. That moment came when Miltiades noticed something crucial. The Persian cavalry was gone. Historians believe the Persians, impatient with the standoff, had sent their cavalry by sea to attack Athens directly. Without their horses, the Persian army was vulnerable. Miltiades seized his chance. He convinced the other generals to risk everything on one audacious charge. His strategy was a stroke of genius born from desperation. Normally, a Greek phalanx was of uniform depth. But Miltiades deliberately weakened his center, thinning the ranks to only a few men deep. Then he massively reinforced his flanks, making them much stronger than the center. Then he gave the order. The entire Athenian army, 10,000 men in a heavy bronze armor, began to run toward the Persian line, a full mile away. The Persians were stunned. A running charge from such a distance was unheard of. It was madness. They thought the Athenians were suicidal. But Miltiades' goal was to cross the deadly killing zone of the Persian archers as fast as possible. The two armies crashed together. As Miltiades predicted, the powerful Persian center easily broke through his intentionally weak Athenian center. But it was a trap. While the Persian center advanced, the heavily reinforced Athenian flanks crushed the weaker Persian flanks, and then they turned inwards. The elite of the Persian army suddenly found themselves surrounded on three sides, a closing vice of bronze and death. Panic set in. The organized Persian line collapsed into a terrified mob, which broke and fled back towards the ships. The battle was a stunning, unbelievable victory for Athens. The historian Herodotus records the casualties. 6,400 Persians lay dead on the field. The Athenians lost only 192 men. And this is where the other legend of Marathon begins. The story goes that the runner, Phidippides, was then sent to run the 26 miles from the battlefield back to Athens to announce the victory. He burst into the assembly, cried out, "Nenekiman, rejoice, we conquer," and then collapsed and died from exhaustion. While this exact story is likely a later romantic blend of several events, it inspired the modern marathon race, a testament to the endurance and sacrifice shown on that day. The Battle of Marathon didn't end the Greco-Persian Wars. The Persians would return 10 years later with an even larger force. But its impact was monumental. It proved that the mighty Persian war machine was not invincible. It gave the Greeks the self-belief that they could stand up to tyranny, and most importantly, it saved the young Athenian democracy, allowing it to flourish and lay the philosophical, artistic, and political foundations of the Western world. The Battle of Marathon was more than just a military victory. It was a victory for an idea. The idea that free citizens fighting for their homes, their liberty, and their way of life could overcome a force far greater than themselves. The 192 Athenians who fell that day were buried on the battlefield as heroes, a reminder for all time of the price of freedom. A single day, a desperate charge, and a legacy that runs through our world to this very day. If you enjoyed this look into one of history's most decisive battles, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel for more stories from the ancient world. And let us know in the comments, what legendary battle should we cover next? Thanks for watching.